Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have set number 71028, I guess, which is sort of a set, but it's actually the full collection of all 16 of the LEGO Harry Potter Series 2 minifigures. And yes, that's right, there's only 16 this time. The first Harry Potter minifigure series, which was released to coincide with the big reboot of the theme back in 2018, had a total of 22 figures. 16 were from Harry Potter, but then there were also an additional 6 that were still within the same blind bags that were based on the Fantastic Beasts movies. I don't know, maybe they originally planned to have another 6 Fantastic Beasts figures if the third Fantastic Beasts movie was actually, released on time. But they did delay that, I believe. They originally delayed it 1 year, but it's been delayed an additional year because of COVID, I think. I don't know for sure. I don't remember. But, the point is there's only 16 figures this time. And it remains to be seen if they'll just be sticking with 16 for, the rest of time, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, these did retail for $5 a pack. And this is the first series where Walmart has not immediately discounted it to $3.44 a figure. So this is the first truly unavoidably $5 series, and as a result, it's kind of a pain, but I do think that the quality of the figures here, as we'll see, I think is possibly worth the $5 price for maybe the first time since the increases happened, but do have the full leaflet to look at, and it is one of the ones that folds up really small, which makes sense with the new packaging. And the one thing interesting about the packaging this time around is occasionally you'll get bags that are slightly lighter or darker than this color, and I don't know, it seems to be pretty random, but I have noticed it, other people have noticed it, so it does happen. And one other thing that I guess I'm not going to be directly addressing in this review, but other people have reported, is that the box distribution is a little bit more random than normal. I've seen reports of people getting 8 Harrys and 0 Hermiones. It's usually Harry and Hermione, they get mixed up, but they'll have a odd proportion of those two characters for some reason. But here are all the 16 figures in the series. We do have Harry, Dumbledore, Hermione, and Ron returning from Series 1, as well as Luna and Neville, who did have different versions in Series 1. But we also have some brand new characters that we haven't gotten in a long time or have never gotten before, which includes Griphook, Lily and James Potter. We get new versions of Fred and George, and Ginny, and a prisoner version of Bellatrix. It's the first time we've seen that. Also Kingsley, first time we've gotten him, and Moaning Myrtle as well. And we do get a new updated version of Professor Sprout in the series, which is cool. And they do show you on the back how to build some of the more complicated ones. But, now that we've spent 3 minutes talking about packaging and overall series logistics, let's take a look at some actual minifigures, huh? First up for the series, obviously, we have Harry Potter himself, and this version is based on that scene in the 3 broomsticks from Order of the Phoenix. It actually looks really accurate to what it should in the movie, appropriately, obviously. That makes sense. He does get his wand here, which is nothing new, nothing that we haven't seen before. It's in dark brown, it's one of the more common colors of wands. But his other accessory is actually pretty cool. It's the potions book. I forget the exact name of the textbook, but it does have on the inside, got the words scribbled up in the top of the page, saying Sectum Sempra. Yeah, it's there, mostly readable. And then obviously the rest of the text isn't, but he's got some other random notes scribbled in there. Obviously, no printing on the back of the book. I think this is the first time the book has been done in sand blue too, which is cool. And then the printing of the actual figure is really well done as well. Really particularly like the legs here. He's even got the shoes printed on, and that wraps around to the side, as well as the thin seam running down there. These are probably the best jeans we've ever gotten printed on a minifigure leg piece. And the torso is pretty good. Some good creasing going all the way around. Good printing on the back. I believe this face is the same expression found in a couple of the 2020 Harry Potter sets, but I think its alternate expression here is exclusive, and that's a good expression as well. So overall, pretty well detailed and well made figure. Not the most exciting character in the series, but it is good to get a version of Harry Potter, and I think that this is a pretty pretty well-made variant. And next up, we'll move on to Ron Weasley, and his variant in the series is based on the same scene as Harry, which I think is a great thing. Hermione's also from the same scene as well, which we'll see next up. But I think it's a great thing that all of them are based on the same scene, so that, if you get the 3 variants from the series, you're able to kind of recreate that group. But the light printing on him is pretty much very similar to Harry's, but obviously gray pants with dark gray shoes, and again, that looks pretty good. Ron even gets arm printing here, which obviously makes sense with his sweater, but that looks fantastic as well. Really good detailing throughout. The hairpiece is the same one that we've seen used for Ron, even back in the 2011 Harry Potter sets that were based on the later books. So, that's nothing super surprising. The face print is very similar to one of the characters from the Ideas Friends set, but with different colored eyebrows, and I think maybe a little bit of other slight modification, but essentially they're really, really similar. And Ron gets his wand, obviously. I should mention that every character who comes with a wand comes with a sprue with 2 wands on it, so you do get an extra with each figure in the series. But the interesting thing here is this butterbeer accessory. That's the first time I believe we've seen it officially represented in a set, which is really something that probably should have happened sooner. I think maybe we got regular mugs and stuff, but I don't know that for sure. I'm not an expert on the older Harry Potter stuff. Only familiar with the 2018 wave, for the most part. I know a little bit about some of the older stuff. I built the Hogwarts, the older Hogwarts castle at one point, to help a friend sell it. But the accessory here is really cool. It's dual molded in trans clear and trans orange, and it comes out really well. He's able to hold it by the handle, as you saw before, and you can also hold it on the bottom. And I believe you can stick stud-sized things into the top of the glass as well. Let's take this random brown stud that I have here and plop it in. Yeah, it looks like you can. So another attachment point there as well. Kind of a cool little part with a little bit extra functionality, and I do really hope that gets reused in different color combinations, in different sets. I think that it's just a cool piece, and I would like to see more of it. And, well, I guess I get to see a little bit more of it right here with Hermione, because she has the exact same accessory. Not gonna really complain about it, because it is really cool to get it again, though it is kind of lame that they both have the same thing. I don't know, maybe, I'm really torn on this one, but maybe it would have been nice to get maybe an additional thing as well, but it is cool. The torso printing and leg printing for Hermione is pretty good. The leg printing especially is really fantastic for her. She even has the, she has the shoes that are a little bit taller, but they have the thin white line around the bottom, and that just came out looking really nice. The legs are dual molded, and her torso printing on the back is, pretty good. Her face is a little bit off to me. I think it's just kind of fuzzy printing that makes the black lines look a little bit thicker than they should, but I can't tell for sure. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but something feels a little bit off to me about this one particular face print, and I have the same sort of issue with Lily and one of Luna's faces, which we'll see later. But overall, a pretty good figure. I do kind of wish that they printed the if you look at this outfit in the movie, there's a little brown stripe around the cuffs of her sleeves. I wish that they'd printed that on there, but other than that, this is a pretty good figure, and I don't think that not having that kills the look of this one. But that rounds out our original group of 3. The next figure we're going to take a look at is Albus Dumbledore, and this version is based on the Richard Harris portrayal from the first 2 movies, whereas the one in the first series was based on the later films. And this figure is actually really well executed. I mean, first thing we have to get out of the way is Fawkes. We have a brand new, really, really awesome mold for him. Wow, with some really good printing on the head as well. This is fantastic, and definitely, would recommend grabbing this figure just for Fawkes. But the actual Dumbledore figure looks really great as well. We have this new hair hat combo mold, which looks fantastic, and, he has the Gandalf beard and the slope dress piece, which has some really fantastic detail to it. If we pull this off, you can see it's got some star printing on there, which looks really good. And if we, pull his beard off, you can see that it says here, I believe his face may be the same as the previous Dumbledore figures, but the torso and the legs are pretty, pretty well done. Actually, maybe this is a different face. I can't tell for sure. I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the other one had only one side with glasses, so maybe this is the case of having one print that's the same and one print that's new. But yeah, the printing on the torso and dress slope here continues around the back, and it just looks really, really good. And I'm very happy with the overall design of this figure. And like Harry, Ron, and Hermione, we also have a version of Luna from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And this one is kind of an interesting variant with the lion head costume here. I will say that the lion head doesn't appear to be completely perfect. It has like a little bit more of a chin strap than it should in relation to the movie, but it is really cool to get a version of this piece, and I think that for the most part it's pretty good. It's just that, like, down here at the bottom, it's a little bit off, but part of that is just because they had to make it fit a minifigure head. But yeah, it looks pretty reasonably good. Like the random color printing all around. And if we remove that, we can see that Luna does have an alternate face here. This face here is the one that I think sort of looks a little bit off to me, but the other expression really looks completely fine. So I don't know, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong with this one, but I don't know, it's a little strange feeling. The torso and leg printing for her is really good as well. You have the really detailed printing that goes around the sides. They're dual molded, and you do have some back print on the torso, which looks pretty good. And we do also, with Luna here, get a alternate hairpiece included with the figure. So you can just have a regular Luna with different clothes, and I think that it's nice that they went ahead and included this hairpiece. I mean, they could have just not, and it would have been fine still. Probably still would have been a pretty good figure, but it is nice that they went above and beyond and just included this one extra hairpiece. And the last figure that we have here returning from the previous series is Neville Longbottom, and this particular version is different because it's wearing standard Gryffindor robes, which is kind of less interesting than his herbology outfit that he had in Series 1. But, it's fine. I mean, he's got the mid-legs, which kind of, are a little bit less common in the series. So, I mean, yeah, sure, I guess if you wanted mid-legs, or just a generic Gryffindor uniform that had the robes, then this is sort of interesting to you. But I think the majority of people are just going to like this Monster Book of Monsters, which is a cool accessory. It uses the standard book base, but has this new molded cover for it, which, has some good printing on there. And then you can open that up, but it's designed to be partially open like this, and have this cheese slope inside that has the teeth, and it's got some printing for like some pages. And yeah, it looks pretty good. No printing on the top of the cheese slope. But, looking at the actual figure, yeah, the torso and legs are not that interesting. The face print is pretty similar to previous face prints that he's had, but I believe it has a new element ID, so maybe one of the expressions is different, but I don't know, it looks very similar, and I don't know if I would really see the difference if you just had two Neville figures next to each other. He does use the same hairpiece that he uses in the 2020 Harry Potter sets, which is a little bit on the less common side, so I guess that's cool, but, he is probably the least interesting figure in this series, at least to me. It's really just the accessory that kind of makes it. And, well, now that we've been through all of the characters that we've seen before in the previous Harry Potter series, I guess we can look at all the characters that we have gotten before in previous Harry Potter sets, but these are just different variants of them. And this here is Professor Sprout, and she's the herbology professor, so, she'll fit in pretty well with Neville from Series 1. But this one does also have a Mandrake. It is a new print, though, because it's on a 1x1 round brick, which they also use in the Hogwarts Astronomy Tower, but this one is still a different print from that. So now there are 3 different types of Mandrakes, and the build for that, is just one of these stem pieces, and a 1x1 round brick, and that does fit into this flower pot piece. And we'll remove that in 4 seconds so we can just take a look at the figure. And the figure is pretty well done. The printing is good. I mean, on the torso and on the dress slope, printing continues around the back, and it looks good. The real highlight of this figure, for me at least, is the hair, hat, earmuff combo piece, and that is a pretty cool dual molded part, and it looks pretty appropriate, and it really helps to make this figure look like Professor Sprout. Just having the hat before, they just used the standard wizard hat piece, and it was fine for the time, I guess, but with the level of detail of all these other Harry Potter figures, it really sort of did not fit in. So it's nice that we have gotten Professor Sprout finally for the first time since the theme's relaunch, and it's nice that it's such a good version. And I mean, if they put it in the regular sets, they probably still would have just used the hat piece. So it is nice that they decided to put it in the CMF series first to give her an actual hair hat combo, and the back print on the face is pretty good. I mean, both pretty decent expressions for Professor Sprout, and I mean, overall, probably not like a highlight of the series for me, but it's definitely a pretty good figure. And next up we have Ginny Weasley, and this particular version is based on her appearance in the Slug Club Christmas Party, so this would go pretty well with the Hogwarts Clock Tower, but yeah, it's a clock tower. I get the clock tower and astronomy tower's names confused for some reason. But this figure has a really good new hair mold, and it looks fantastic as the printing up there. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty well molded element, I think. The face print for her is pretty good. She does have an alternate expression, which we'll look at in a second. She does, obviously, like pretty much everyone else in the series, have a wand, and she has this new kind of sundae bowl or martini glass piece, depending on how you want to look at it or use it. But it receives a stud right there, or well, like the bottom of a stud, so you'll fit anything 1x1 round in there. And she's got some chocolate ice cream or really lumpy pudding in there currently. And yeah, the torso printing and leg printing on her looks really good. It's got a really subtle level of detail with the dark blue printing. It's a little bit hard to make out, really, with the naked eye. It's like you have to look really closely to be able to see it. Printing on her legs is really good as well, and printing on the back of her torso is pretty good. And she does have an alternate facial expression, which is, again, pretty good. This one, the eyebrow, maybe, seems to be a little bit close to the eye. I don't know if that's actually a misprint or if that's just how it was designed, but it's a good-looking expression overall, I think. And yeah, I mean, this figure will fit right in. Next up, we have Fred Weasley, and this, I believe, is the first time that we've gotten Fred and George outside of their Diagon Alley outfits. So on its own, that's pretty cool. He does have his suitcase here, which we'll take a look at in just a second. But I do want to start with his torso and leg printing, which is pretty good. It's got some good side leg printing, some good back printing, and he does have his hat, which is a nice new mold, but it is shared with George, which is appropriate. And he does have two facial expressions, which I actually really like the expressiveness of these two face prints. I think that provides him a good range of emotion, and I think just it works really well. His suitcase here is actually from the Triwizard Tournament scene in the Goblet of Fire, and inside he has the odds for the different different competitors. And in here he has these 1x1 printed tiles, which are actually associated with the Quidditch World Cup. Apparently they're the different colors of Ireland and Bulgaria, but I don't know. I mean, I just read that from the BrickSet review. I don't really remember that at all, to be honest. But yeah, it's a pretty good figure. But he is very similar to George. They are different enough. Like, you can tell the two apart. The torso print and leg prints are kind of slightly different, which is appropriate, and it makes them a little bit more interesting, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. The majority of it is really nicely done. They do have the really good printing on the front of the hips there, in the middle section. Kind of didn't even notice that was just printed on, but it is. Just have the Marauders map, which is cool. This is a folded up version on a 2x2 tile, as opposed to the opened up one from the Harry Potter student accessory pack thing, which had the 2x3 printed tile that was exclusive. And I do have the same hat, obviously, with the same printing on there, same symbols. They look pretty good. Just a slightly better look at that. And you have two face prints, which I really like this one with his eyes closed and he's laughing, and smiling. And the other expression, is a little bit more standard, but it looks really good and is pretty expressive. And last up, for characters we've seen before, we have a new variant of Bellatrix Lestrange, and this is actually in her Azkaban outfit. And she does have her prisoner number on a 1x2 tile, which looks pretty good. That's a cool little accessory. And she does get a new color for handcuffs in dark gray, which is kind of neat. She does have good printing on the arms. Really almost wraps right up to the edge of the arm. It looks pretty good. She gets her wand, which is nothing special. She also gets this hairpiece, though, which this is by far the cheapest way to get this hairpiece, and it's a good looking part. It resembles the character pretty well, and her face prints actually are pretty good. They're much better than in the Burrow, in my opinion at least. They actually look like the actress, which can't really say that too much about the generic face print they use in the other set. But yeah, the printing on her dress slope is pretty good. I mean, it's fine. This doesn't quite come down all the way to the bottom, which is a little bit of a shame, but, it's okay. I maybe would have preferred if they didn't print the edge on it, though, if that was going to be the case. But yeah, the printing on her torso, again, good. I mean, this is a fine figure. I think people are going to like getting Bellatrix. It'll probably be the only version of her that I get, because I don't really plan on getting the Burrow, but, it is just not a super-duper interesting character to me. I didn't care too much for Bellatrix. So, come to think of it, Bellatrix is actually really the only bad guy that we get in the series, so I guess that's interesting. But here we have Moaning Myrtle, and this is the first version of this character that we've got, and I think she was portrayed on the wall as a sticker in the direct-to-consumer Hogwarts Castle set, I think that was the only version of her that we got prior to this. We just have Tom Riddle's diary again, which makes a return from Series 1, but this one actually has different printing on the inside from when they communicate in Chamber of Secrets, right? I think. And then, other than that, it's pretty similar. A lot more scratches in the front of the book than in the version where it was stabbed, but, it's a pretty good-looking book, I think. And Myrtle does get one of those DC series, transparent clear stand things, as well as a jumper plate to kind of elevate her up there. And she does get a new hairpiece, which looks pretty good. I like her face prints. I think that they have turned out pretty nice. Just to remove this for a second so that you can fully see the detail on her torso and legs. It looks pretty good, pretty appropriate, and she does have an angrier expression as well on the back. But, it is nice to have finally gotten this character in Lego form, and I think that they, portrayed the fact that she's a ghost relatively well, and maybe we'll get Force Ghosts at some point in the future, because that would be cool. And next up we have another character that we've never gotten before. This is Kingsley Shacklebolt, and he comes with a new color for Broom, because apparently they've never come in dark brown before, which is kind of surprising, as well as a new hat piece, which has some really good printing all the way around. Looks great. The face print for him is pretty good as well. If we remove the hat, you can see his eyebrows there. And I do like this this cape piece, which has two different colors, and it is a softer material, so it kind of flows a little bit more naturally, though it would have been nice if these on the front would kind of stay in a little bit more. I just have some arm printing for his cuffs there, and that looks pretty good. And the torso printing on the back is pretty simple, but it's there. And no printing on the side of the legs, but he does have a little bit of printing on the front, and some printing on the front of his torso, which is a little bit simple relative to all the other figures in the series, but there is some good detail up right around his neck. But the majority of it is large blocks of color, and there's no creasing or anything, which is a little bit unusual for a minifigure wearing clothes. But it's a pretty well done figure, I think, and just the biggest thing about it is that it just really pops in this series. That's kind of, for the most part, on the more muted or drab side. And then you have Kingsley, who's just super bright and in your face. Next up we have Lily Potter, and again this is the first time that we've gotten this character in minifigure form, so that's kind of cool. And she does come with our series' second Harry, which is this baby piece with an H printed on it and a little face, and that's kind of cute. But back to the actual figure here. I guess I should say that this is the first time we've got baby Harry, so I guess that's also kind of cool. But yeah, the torso print for her is really detailed. Looks really, really finely printed. Her face is one of the ones that I've said looks a little bit weird to me. I can't quite put my finger on why, but it does. And the leg print is pretty good. You got the side printing for the shoes there as well. The hairpiece is appropriate, I think. And back face print looks pretty good, but again, a little bit on the fuzzier, slightly weird side. And it is printed slightly off-centered, but that's not really a big deal because the hair covers that up. But yeah, the back print on her torso is really good as well. And I think that this is a pretty well-executed version of her. You know, it's a little bit simple, but I think that baby Harry helps make it feel like it is worth it. And obviously the printing on the torso and legs are really good. This is also the first time that we got James Potter, and Lily was good, but I really, really like this James Potter figure. I think that it looks great. The painting here is really nice. Maybe it would have been nice if that was the version of Lily that we got, just because, you know, I don't know, it would have fit with the painting, but, you know, it's fine. Either way, it's still a really cool part. And, you know, the actual figure here looks great. I really like the face print. I think that resembles the actor pretty well. We also have the alternate facial expression, and the scarf piece in dark red is a new color for that, which is great. I love getting the scarf piece in different colors. And dark red is probably the most useful one that we've gotten, because we've only gotten, I think we've still only gotten orange and regular red. Did we get like I feel like we may have gotten a lime green one, but I'm probably wrong about that. But yeah, the suit print for him is really good as well too. And I really like the leg print with the printing on the sides. It's just overall a really exceptionally well done figure. It does just have his wand as other accessory, like most characters in the series. And last up, we have Griphook, who is essentially a new character that we haven't gotten before. They've done Harry Potter goblins before, but none of them were explicitly named Griphook, and none of them really looked that much like him, though a lot of them didn't really look like much at all, because they weren't really that well done. I think that this is a significantly better version of Griphook than, or of any Harry Potter goblin, than all the ones that we've gotten before. I like the face print. I think that it, you know, does a pretty good job of portraying what they're supposed to be. And it just has really good level of detail to it, that face. The hair / ear mold is pretty spot on as well. I really like the printing on his torso with the stripes going up the arms. Printing on the back is pretty good. He has no alternate facial expression, which makes him one of the very few in the series to not. I believe the only other one is Kingsley. Yeah, I believe everyone but Kingsley and Griphook do. But he also has short, unprinted legs, which are, you know, those are fine, I guess. Maybe they could have tried to do something on there, but I don't think there was anything, like, I don't think there's any detail on Griphook that, you know, deserves attempting to print on short legs. But he does have a key as an accessory, and he also has this really, really awesome sword of Gryffindor, which, you know, it's a new mold. It looks great. Got some good detailing on the hilt there, and it's dual molded with these trans red gems, and that just looks really fantastic. Like, it almost looks like a knockoff. That's how detailed the mold is. Like, this is something that knockoffs or other toy companies would try to do, and I'm really glad that LEGO went out and did something like that. They could have even attempted to replicate it with printing, but I think having the dual molding just, you know, really takes it over the edge. Overall, I think that this series makes for a pretty decent selection of characters. I think, if anything, maybe we could have used a couple other characters that were brand new to the series, but, you know, again, compared to Series 1, I think that this is a superior series. I know a lot of people disagree. I think Series 1 probably is still, I guess, better because it has the 6 Fantastic Beasts figures, and there are 22, and 22 figures is always going to be better than 16. But if we remove the 6 Fantastic Beasts figures, I think that this series is probably stronger than the first one. I think the Harry Potter, Ron, and Hermione figures, those 3 are easily way better than the Series 1 versions. Neville, it could go either way, to be honest. I mean, both of them were not the greatest figures, but, you know, that's a take it or leave it one. Dumbledore, this version is better for me, mainly because of Fox. And Bellatrix versus Voldemort, it could go either way there. But then Luna, maybe Series 1 version was better. But then if we're looking at the selection of other characters, Dobby was great. Kind of miss him here, but like he might be one of the like other characters that's better than Series 2, but like equate Sprout with Trelawney. And I guess Kingsley versus Moody. Moody is probably better, but if we're looking at Lily, James, Myrtle, Griphook, they're probably better than random Hogwarts students. You know, and even Fred and George and Ginny. Like these three variants, I think, are better than say Dean Thomas and Cho Chang and Cedric Diggory even. So you know, I think that this series is pretty strong. The series is also $1 more per figure than the first series, but you know that's kind of just how LEGO CMF prices have been going. So you know, kind of got to take it or leave it. I do think though that I can pretty comfortably say that this is the first series that I was very okay with paying $5 for. I think that the figures here, you know, are worth it. I wouldn't buy doubles at $5 each, but you know, these are figures that I did want to have, so I bought them, and I'm pretty reasonably happy with it. Now, obviously, cheaper is always better, but if they're going to be charging $5 a figure, I would hope that they are of a similar quality to these ones. So, hope you guys enjoyed this little review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.